Have you ever wondered why teachings about boundless compassion sound beautiful, yet your daily mind still feels dark and heavy? Have you ever asked why light is said to reach everywhere, but your heart still feels like it is living in a closed room? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a question that looks spiritual on the surface, but is actually deeply practical. If Buddha light shines everywhere, why does it not seem to reach us? Why do we still feel stuck in anxiety, resentment, confusion, and self-criticism? Why do we still feel alone in our suffering? Here are the two ideas I want to carry with you. First, the light is not the issue. Compassion is not the issue. The teachings are not the issue. The most common issue is that we have learned to pull a curtain inside the mind, and then we forget we are the ones holding the cord. Second, the curtain is not pulled by one dramatic mistake. It is pulled by small daily habits of clinging, resistance, and distraction. That means the curtain can also be opened by small daily habits of mindfulness, wisdom, compassion, and steady practice. This is how karma changes. This is how destiny becomes lighter. Let me tell you a story that begins in a place you would not expect. It begins not in a temple, not in a retreat, not in a dramatic crisis. It begins in a regular apartment hallway, under fluorescent lights, with someone carrying groceries. I will call him Marcus. Marcus was the kind of person many people described as decent. He worked, paid bills, tried not to cause trouble. He was not cruel, but he was tired. The tiredness was not only physical. It was the tiredness of a mind that never fully rests. The tiredness of a heart that feels like it is always breathing. When Marcus first heard the phrase Buddha light shines everywhere, he felt a strange irritation. Not because he hated spirituality, but because the phrase felt like it was mocking his reality. If light is everywhere, why do I feel like I am stuck? If compassion is everywhere, why does my life still hurt? He carried that irritation for weeks. One evening he went to visit his aunt. His aunt had been practicing for many years, not in a loud way, not in a showy way. She had no social media posts about her spiritual life. She simply had a steady presence. You could feel it when you walked into her home. The air felt softer, even though nothing fancy was happening. Marcus sat at her table and complained. He complained about work, about money, about how people were selfish, about how the world felt colder every year. His aunt listened. Then Marcus brought up the phrase, "People say Buddha light shines everywhere. I do not see it. I do not feel it. Maybe it is just a nice idea." His aunt did not argue. She did not quote a scripture. She stood up and walked to the window. The window had thick curtain. It was daytime outside, but the room was dim. His aunt asked a simple question. "Is the sun shining?" Marcus looked confused. "Yes." His aunt asked another question. "Then why is this room dark?" Marcus stared at the curtain. He understood immediately, and yet he also resisted the implication. His aunt gently pulled the curtain open. Light flooded the room. Then she said, "The sun did not change. The room did not change. Only the curtain moved." Marcus felt something in his chest tighten, because he knew she was not only talking about fabric. He said, "Are you saying this is my fault?" His aunt shook her head. "No. Blame is another curtain. I am saying you have power." That sentence matters, because many people hear inner teachings and mistakenly turn them into self-blame. Self-blame is heavy and unhelpful. It is still ego. It is still clinging. It is still the mind punishing itself to feel in control. True practice is not blame. True practice is clarity. And clarity is the beginning of freedom. Marcus asked, "What is the curtain then?" His aunt said, "Let us not make it abstract. Tell me how your mind moves in a normal day." Marcus began describing his day. He woke up and immediately checked his phone. He read messages, news, and social posts before his feet touched the floor. His mind compared. His mind worried. His mind rushed. He skipped breakfast or ate quickly. He drove to work irritated at traffic. He arrived already tense. Throughout the day, he felt judged. He judged others. He felt pressure. He complained internally. He fantasized about escape. He ate snacks without noticing. He scrolled when bored. And he went to bed with the mind still running. His aunt nodded slowly and said, "Do you see it? The curtain is not one thing. It is the whole habit of being absent." Marcus did not like that. He wanted something simpler. He wanted a single cause and a single fix. But spiritual reality is often like weather systems. Many small factors create the climate. His aunt continued, "When the mind is absent, it lives in stories. Stories of fear. Stories of resentment. Stories of deficiency. Stories of how it should have been. Stories of what you must prove. Those stories block the light. Not because the light is weak, but because the mind is turned away from it." Marcus asked, "If the light is always there, why do I have to work so hard to feel it?" His aunt smiled. "Because your habits have been training you in the opposite direction for years. You have trained distraction. You have trained comparison. You have trained blame. You have trained impatience. You have trained self-criticism. You have trained craving for stimulation. Now you want peace instantly. That is like planting weeds for years and demanding flowers tomorrow." Marcus lowered his eyes. Something in him felt exposed. Then his aunt said something that surprised him. "The light is not a reward for good people. The light is a condition of reality. But to experience it, you must stop blocking it. And the way you stop blocking it is not by pretending. It is by practicing." This is the moment where the story turns. Because Marcus had tried to fix his suffering with more entertainment, more shopping, more plan, more complaining, more arguments, more self-improvement content. None of it worked for long. Now he was being offered something different. Not a distraction, not a performance, but a practice of turning the mind. His aunt gave him a very small assignment. So small that Marcus almost laughed. For the next 7 days, each time you touch a door handle, pause and take one breath. Feel the breath, then open the door. Marcus said, "That is it." His aunt said, "It is enough to begin. The curtain is pulled by 1,000 unconscious moments. So we begin by waking up one moment at a time." Marcus tried it. The first day, he forgot almost every time. When he did remember, the pause felt awkward. But something else happened. That breath created a tiny gap between impulse and action. In that gap, he noticed how tense he was. He noticed how rushed he was. He noticed how angry he carried himself even when nothing was happening. That noticing was uncomfortable. But it was also the first crack in the curtain. On the second day, he remembered more. He began noticing something else. Whenever he paused, his mind immediately tried to fill the gap with a story. "I am wasting time. This is stupid. I am not spiritual. This will not work. I do not deserve peace." His mind was like a person pulling the curtain closed the moment light appeared. So he began to see the mechanism. The curtain is not only distraction. The curtain is also the mind reflex of resistance. Resistance is the inner voice that says, "No, not like this. Not now. Not me. Not this feeling. Not this truth." Resistance is how the ego protects itself. And the ego thinks it is protecting you. But often, it is protecting your suffering. This is why the Buddha light feels far away. Not because it is far, but because resistance creates a closed room. Now, let me deepen this with another story. Because some of you will relate even more. There was a woman I will call Sophia. Sophia was sincere. She had a gentle heart. She started practicing because she wanted to be kinder and less anxious. She attended classes, read books, and listened to talks. But she kept feeling something painful. She felt that other people seemed to glow, while she felt stuck. She would hear phrases about compassion and light, and instead of comfort, she felt shame. What is wrong with me? Why am I not feeling it? One day she asked a teacher after a session, "Everyone talks about light. I feel darkness." The teacher did not dismiss her. The teacher asked, "What does your darkness sound like?" Sophia described it. A constant inner critic. A voice that said she was not enough. A voice that replayed mistakes. A voice that predicted rejection. A voice that compared her to others. A voice that demanded she become perfect, then punished her for not being perfect. The teacher nodded and said, "Your darkness is not proof that light is absent. Your darkness is proof that the curtain is thick, and the thickness is made of self-cruelty." Sophia cried because she knew it was true. Then the teacher said, "Many people think the opposite of light is darkness, but often the opposite of light is hardness. Hardness toward yourself, hardness toward others, hardness toward reality." This is a major teaching. Many people are not blocked from compassion because they are evil. They are blocked because they are hardened by pain. Pain that was never processed becomes bitterness. Fear that was never met becomes control. Shame that was never healed becomes self-attack. And then the mind lives in a closed room and calls it normal. So the path is not to chase light like a prize. The path is to soften the hardness. Softening does not mean becoming weak. It means becoming honest. It means allowing life to be as it is without constant inner violence. Sophia began a practice that changed her. Each time she caught the inner critic, she did not fight it. She did not obey it. She named it gently. "Critic." Then she placed a hand on her chest and took one slow breath. She said quietly in her mind, "I am here. I will not abandon you." This is compassion directed inward. Many people think compassion is only for others. But if you cannot be compassionate toward your own suffering, your compassion toward others will eventually become performance or burnout. So Sophia practiced softness. She did not become perfect, but she became less violent inside. And as the inner violence decreased, she started to feel something she had not felt in a long time. Warmth, not excitement. That warmth is a form of light. Now let us bring this back to the phrase that triggered Marcus in the first place. Buddha light shines everywhere. What does that really mean in daily life? It can mean that wisdom and compassion are always available as possibilities. It can mean that reality is not hostile by default, even if it is painful. It can mean that the awakened nature of mind is not created by practice, but revealed by practice. But those meanings can stay abstract unless you connect them to cause and effect. So let us talk about the curtains in practical terms. One curtain is constant distraction. Distraction blocks light the way noise blocks subtle music. If your mind is always filled with content, you cannot hear the quiet voice of wisdom. If your day has no silence, you cannot feel the deep body. If your attention is always split, compassion becomes shallow because compassion requires presence. Another curtain is resentment. Resentment is like covering the window with dark fabric. It changes everything you see. Even kindness looks suspicious. Even opportunities look like traps. Resentment makes you interpret life through past pain. This is why forgiveness is not just moral. It is practical. Forgiveness is opening a window. Forgiveness does not mean approving harm. It means releasing the poison from your own mind. Another curtain is pride. Pride can look like confidence, but pride is often fear of being small. Pride creates separation. Separation blocks compassion. Pride makes the heart hard. Another curtain is shame. Shame is the belief that you are fundamentally unworthy. Shame makes you hide from light. It makes you feel exposed in the presence of goodness. It makes you interpret compassion as something you must earn, instead of something you can receive. Another curtain is impatience. Impatience is spiritual greed. It says, "I want awakening now. I want peace now. I want life to obey my timeline now." But the mind does not ripen like that. Karma does not ripen like that. Practice is cultivation. Cultivation requires patience. Another curtain is doubt that becomes cynicism. Healthy doubt is inquiry. Cynicism is a closed door. Cynicism pretends to be intelligence, but it is often a defense against disappointment. If I do not believe, I cannot be hurt. But cynicism blocks light because it refuses to open. The path is not naive belief. The path is courageous openness. Now, what does it mean to open the curtain? It means doing small practices consistently until the mind changes direction. Marcus continued the door handle breath practice. And then he added another one at his aunt's suggestion. Each evening, before bed, he would sit for 5 minutes in silence. No goal, just noticing. He noticed how the mind replayed conflicts. He noticed how the mind tried to fix tomorrow. He noticed how the mind judged today. He noticed how the mind created stories. At first, he thought this was a waste of time. But after a couple of weeks, he began to see patterns. And once you see patterns, you can change pattern. This is where karma becomes personal power. Because karma is not only what happens to you. Karma is also the pattern of mind that you keep feeding. So Marcus began feeding different patterns. When irritation rose, he practiced one breath. When judgment rose, he practiced curiosity. When worry rose, he practiced grounding in the body. When he made a mistake, he practiced honest repair instead of hiding. When he saw someone suffering, he practiced silent kindness instead of coldness. Slowly, his inner room became brighter. Not every day, not every moment, but enough that he noticed. One morning he was walking to work and he saw sunlight hitting the leaves of a tree. This is ordinary. It happens every day. But Marcus suddenly felt it. He felt beauty. He felt gratitude. He felt alive. Then he felt tears in his eyes. Because he realized something. The beauty was always there. He was the one who was absent. This is the essence of the teaching. The light is not absent. We are absent. And absence is not a moral failure. It is a habit. Habits can change. Now, I want to bring in the hardest part. Because some of you will say, I have tried to practice. I still feel dark. This is where the story gets more honest. Marcus had a relapse. After a month of feeling improvement, he had a terrible week. Work exploded. A family conflict resurfaced. He slept poorly. He started scrolling again. He started eating mindlessly again. He started snapping at people again. One night he felt despair. Maybe the light is not for me. He called his aunt and said, I thought I was improving. Now I am back in the same place. His aunt asked, what did you do when you noticed you were slipping? Marcus said, I got angry at myself. I told myself I failed. I stopped practicing because I felt ashamed. His aunt said, there is your curtain again. Then she said something that is one of the most important spiritual points you will ever hear. The path is not judged by whether you fall. The path is judged by whether you return. Return is the practice. When you notice distraction, return. When you notice resentment, when you notice shame, return. When you notice pride, return. When you notice cynicism, return. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to kindness. Return to the vow to reduce suffering. If you can return, the curtain opens again. Marcus listened and felt a strange relief. He had been treating practice like a test. Pass or fail. His aunt was teaching him a different model. Practice as a relationship. You do not abandon the relationship because you had a bad day. You come back. This is compassion. This is wisdom. This is karma purification. So Marcus began returning again. And this time, something deepened. He stopped practicing only when he felt good. He started practicing especially when he felt bad. This is when the light becomes real. Because it is no longer dependent on mood. The light becomes the capacity to meet life with awareness. Now let me tell you what happened that showed Marcus the curtain in the clearest way. He had a conflict with a co-worker. The co-worker blamed him for a mistake. Marcus felt anger rise fast. The old Marcus would have fired back. He would have defended aggressively. He would have escalated. This time he felt the heat in his chest and remembered the curtain. Anger is fabric. Anger covers the window. He took one breath. He said, Let us look at the facts together. The co-worker kept pushing. The co-worker wanted a fight. Marcus felt the urge to fight. He also felt the urge to collapse. Then he felt something else. A third option. Clarity. He said, I understand you are upset. I will take responsibility for my part. And we also need to be accurate. Here is what happened. His tone stayed calm. The co-worker calmed down. After the conversation, Marcus realized something. The light was not a feeling. The light was the ability to not be possessed by anger. That ability is practice. That ability is liberation. That ability changes destiny. Because repeated anger creates repeated conflict, and conflict creates consequences. But repeated clarity creates trust, and trust creates opportunity. This is karma in daily life. Now I want to connect this teaching to compassion in a way that reaches deeper than inspiration. Many people think compassion means being nice, but compassion is also the courage to stop feeding what harms you. If you keep feeding resentment, you are harming your mind. If you keep feeding distraction, you are harming your attention. If you keep feeding cynicism, you are harming your capacity to connect. If you keep feeding self-criticism, you are harming your heart. So compassion includes discipline. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is love with boundaries. When Marcus began putting his phone away for the first 30 minutes of the morning, it was discipline. It was also compassion. He was protecting the mind from immediate agitation. When Sophia began interrupting the inner critic with one breath and a kind phrase, it was discipline. It was also compassion. She was protecting the heart from daily violence. When you practice like this, the curtain opens. Now, some of you may ask, why would we ever pull the curtain in the first place? Because many of us learn it as survival. If you grew up in a harsh environment, you might have learned to close your heart to avoid pain. If you were betrayed, you might have learned to distrust to avoid disappointment. If you were shamed, you might have learned to hide to avoid humiliation. If you were overwhelmed, you might have learned to distract to avoid feeling. These were not foolish choices at the time. They were coping strategies. But coping strategies become prisons when you keep using them long after the danger is gone. So the path is gentle. It says, thank you for trying to protect me, but we do not need this curtain anymore. And then you practice opening it. One breath, one honest conversation, one act of forgiveness, one moment of gratitude, one small act of service, one choice to stop scrolling and sit in silence, one return. Over time, the room becomes brighter. Now I want to share the reflection that many viewers feel deeply. Sometimes we think we want light, but we are afraid of what light reveals. Light reveals our habits. Light reveals our hypocrisy. Light reveals our attachment. Light reveals our wounds. Light reveals our fear. So the mind closes the curtain and says, it is safer in the dark. But the dark is not safer. The dark only feels familiar. The light is the path. The light is the possibility of wisdom. And wisdom is not harsh. Wisdom is clear. Wisdom says, yes, this is what is happening. Now choose a skillful response. This is the heart of cultivation. Now, I want to end with an invitation that is simple but powerful. If you feel like compassion is not reaching you, do not accuse compassion of being absent. Ask where your curtain is. Is it in your phone habits? Is it in your resentment? Is it in your pride? Is it in your shame? Is it in your impatience? Is it in your cynicism? Then choose one small practice to open it. One breath before you speak. 1 minute of silence before you touch your phone. One act of gratitude before you sleep. One apology you have been avoiding. One boundary spoken with kindness. One return to the path. And when you fall, return again. Because the light is not a one-time event. The light is a direction of the mind. Now share with me in the comments. What do you think your curtain is? And what is one small way you will open it today? If you want more long-form talks like this, subscribe, like, and comment to support the channel and help more people find a path of awakening. Wisdom, karma, compassion, and steady practice.
Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily. That pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description. And check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.